Hey, what is up, all you lonely watchers out there? One of the most annoying things to hear as a Yokai Watch fan is the constant comparisons to Pokemon the series receives, especially when they paint Yokai Watch as a ripoff. Now, while it's true both series are in the same genre and they did take some cues from one another, calling Yokai Watch a ripoff is very disingenuous. I've never really heard people call other series ripoffs of Yokai Watch. Until recently. A little while ago, someone who we'll get to later brought Digimon Universe Appmon to my attention as an example of a Yokai Watch ripoff, and I was kind of intrigued. Once I saw the series featured these little metal type things to summon Digimon and use this red cat with two tails as their mascot, I just couldn't ignore it anymore. Today, I decided to sit down and watch the first 5 episodes of Digimon Appmon to hopefully answer the question, is Digimon Appmon inspired by Yokai Watch or merely ripping it off? Digimon Universe Appmonsters is the 7th main iteration of the Digimon anime that aired its first episode on October 1st, 2016, and ended its first and only season on September 30th, 2017. 2 manga series and 1 Nintendo 3DS game also released around this time. Yokai Watch, of course, made its debut on December 15th, 2012, while the anime premiered over a year later on January 8th, 2014. Yokai Watch, of course, did not reach its peak until the release of Yokai Watch 2 Honken Ganso on July 10th, 2014. The anime was the main catalyst of Yokai Watch's success at the time. Now, I knew some things about Appmon, but for the most part, I went in with a completely open mind. Is Digimon Appmon really a Yokai Watch ripoff? Let's jump into episode 1 to find out. The episode opens with a little flash forward sequence of our main character and the Robanyan fella before cutting to a really sick anime opening. Of course, the version I was watching didn't have a captioned opening, so I had no idea what they were saying, but the song was still a bop. It turns out the city security cameras are spying on Haru, making him our main character. Haru is a very secluded bookworm, and that's apparent from the moment we meet him. We also get briefly introduced into his love interest, Ai, and his friend and mentor, Yujin. Yujin is an athletic, caring, and charismatic type who's positioned as a main character in Haru's eyes, while he puts himself down as a side character. Average kid, you say? More technology seems to be spying on him, including this vending machine, which yet again poses the question of him being a main character before giving him the Apply drive. When Haru brings the drive home, he gets introduced to the feisty Gatchamon. He explains that each smartphone app is powered by a little AI creature like him called an Appmon. Gatchamon, for example, is a search engine Appmon, and nothing about his design really conveys that. He has the appearance of Jibanyan, but has a role and personality closer to a fusion of Whisper and Usapion. He continues to say that the Apply drive can app-realize Appmon into the physical world with the use of Appmon chips. You seeing it now? This entire scene is very reminiscent of the scene where Futu and Yuto meet in the second Yokai Watch movie. That's when we get into the first conflict with Mesamon, who actually looks like a creature reminiscent of the messaging app. They start spreading rumors and secrets about everybody in town. So Haru and Gatchamon must chase them into the AR field to stop them, the area where the physical and digital worlds overlap. They have a small fight where Gatchamon gets totally annihilated. It's only by Haru accepting his role as the main character that he can app-realize Gatchamon and give him the strength to search for their opponent's weakness. In this case, it's not getting phased by their messages. Mesamon gets taken down, revealing they were only acting out since they were infected by a virus. Just kidding. Shadowside came out after Appmon, so this has no correlation to the Soranaki virus. These summonings are sick, by the way. They're making me kinda envious. Anyway, Haru and Gatchamon save the day, the story sets up some future villains, and roll credits. So far, the show's story beats and episode structure is very similar to the Yokai Watch anime, but I'll give it some time as well as the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully future episodes can give the series more of its own identity. The second episode focuses on taking down Navimon, an Appmon who controls the GPS app and has been sending people further and further from their intended destinations. Haru, with his brand new main character energy and love for his lost love Ai, sets out to find her and stop Navimon. It's also revealed that the unseen Leviathan is responsible for the virus infecting all the Appmon. Navimon is one of my favorite designs so far. They take on a ninja aesthetic and say things like no jutsu when misleading others, which is pretty hilarious. His body is mainly green with white lines, which is very reminiscent of GPS maps. His sharp arms are also very reminiscent of destination markers used in GPS apps. After going into the AR field only to fail again, Haru gets introduced to Apply Link, which lets you temporarily fuse two Appmon. Gachamon and Mesamon fuse by linking tails. Ew. I would hardly call this a fusion, as Mesamon is just clinging onto Gachamon's backside. With a bit of twerking though, Navimon falls and the virus escapes them. Not long after, Leviathan's underling Cameramon appears and nearly takes out the heroes before Haru fuses, for real this time, Gachamon and Navimon to form the much more powerful Do-Gachamon. And that's where the story ends. A cliffhanger on the second episode? Seriously? I did not expect that so soon. After seeing Navimon's genius design, the possibilities for new Appmon feel endless, and I'm very excited to see them. Also, actual plot? Yokai Watch took a very long time to get any major plot in the anime, so good on them. The tone feels like a middle ground between the original series and Shadow Side, which is perfect in a way. The series still feels like it's taking a lot from Yokai Watch, but also improving on a lot of areas as well. Let's continue on. The next episode resumes with the battle with Cameramon, where he ends up fleeing. For now, Haru learns the ways of Apply Fusion, which can combine power between all Appmon but can create higher, elevated forms called Super Appmon with specific pairs. These Super Appmon need both parties to be cooperative in addition to a hefty recharge window. The main story of this episode revolves around the hit new RPG that all the kids are obsessed with, Fantasy Saga. It turns out the game is being messed with by Roleplaymon, which is a weird name, but I'll get to that later. They can affect not only the game, but also in real life by requiring keys to enter the airport or turning people on video calls into princesses or monsters. The AR field this time is a recreation of Roleplaymon's game. Fun, exciting dungeon. An RPG so terrible and cryptic, it fell off within 3 months of its release. Creeper. Aw man. I guess that's more of a zombie though. Haru and Gachamon are able to cruise through the game by looking up a guide, which angers Roleplaymon once they find him. They try to fight him off in his big boss form, but Gachamon and Navimon's bickering prevents them from fusing into Do-Gachamon. Roleplaymon stops attacking, however, when Haru compliments his game design. We then get a backstory where Roleplaymon went to school with a bunch of other RPGs and has parents? How does an RPG have 2 other RPGs as parents? Would the parents not be their developers? I was on board with the name Roleplaymon when they entered the AR field, but now it makes no sense. Are these all Roleplaymon? Is Roleplaymon a species? The world may never know. We also get some more hints at lore, and Roleplaymon turns out to be a 7 Codes Appmon, one of the keys to an extremely powerful force. As it turns out though, another human isn't far behind Haru? And roll credits for now. This episode wasn't the most original idea, but they had a cute execution, and it got me to think way more than I ever wished about RPG reproduction. The beginning, ending, and realization sequences are starting to annoy me. Even besides the intro, the show keeps explaining the characters and premise in every episode, and it's just kind of annoying. Not a terrible episode, but not the most original. Hopefully, the lore they're trying to set in place will have a good payoff. The Halloween special is upon us. Cameramon goes to hunt down Haru by order of Leviathan, while Gatchamon gets told off by Haru for interrupting his reading and not wanting to participate in the festivities. Gatchamon goes out to get candy without Haru. What does he need him for anyways? Not like he needs him to literally exist or anything. Cameramon notices and tries to trick Haru with a fake video of Gatchamon being held for ransom, which doesn't work. Cameramon then goes to work, sending a flyer promising a prize to whoever can catch Haru, and sending his coordinates and photos to everyone using his control of the entire city's security system. This is until Haru and Gatchamon reunite and enter Cameramon's AR field, where he holds all the power. Cameramon and their partner Shootmon are able to fuse into Scorpmon, who can in turn use their sniper very effectively in conjunction with the cameras placed all over the city. Luckily, Haru comes to the realization that they can gain the upper hand by finding his blind spot. Once they do, Gatchamon uses said blind spot to launch a surprise attack and take Cameramon down, hopefully once and for all. However, Scorpmon's chip is taken by a mysterious voice, our next villain, Mienumon. I will say I really like the problem solving implemented here. It involves much more critical thinking than Yokai Watch ever did. This episode also started to use 3D models, which can look cool in some instances and out of place in others. Also, the ending theme changed already? Wow. And with that, there's only one more episode left to look at. Will the show hook me or turn me away forever? The final episode opens on Haru almost letting the Apply drive break via orange juice before they catch a glimpse of another Apply drive on TV. This one being in the hands of idol group Applyama 470's Karen Airy. She could be a great ally in the fight against Leviathan, so it only makes sense to sneak into a TV studio to find her. Upon reaching her dressing room, they learn she also has an Appmon partner named Dokamon she keeps hidden away. Airy never really gets into trouble with Appmon until Dressmon starts messing with the wardrobe of everyone in the studio. Haru and Airy make it into the AR field, but Gatchamon isn't powerful enough. Airy decides to finally stop keeping Dokamon trapped and App realize him for the first time. They're able to fuse with Gatchamon, which doesn't do too much unique besides make Gatchamon's moves more powerful. Together, they're able to save the day, and Airy lets us in on her backstory. She chose to become an idol to make others smile, as other idols once did for her when she was alone. We get another tease of this human guy and the credits roll. I gotta say, I'm really liking the story so far, especially with what Airy's dynamic could add to the show if she returns in future episodes. The typical battles were getting a little stale, so adding some new humans in Appmon would be really appreciated right now. Before I declare my final verdict on the show, I should probably talk to someone with a little bit more experience in this department.
I guess we should actually get started.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how long you're free until, so would you like to introduce yourself and plug yourself?
Oh yeah. I need to do that, don't I?
Yeah. I mean, you don't need to. You could just be mysterious.
Hi, I'm Echo Lily 420 on Twitch and YouTube. I wanted to do 42, but then I ended up with the funny weed number instead. I am both a Yokai Watch and Digimon fan, but I'm very casual about both. There's not much I can say. My favorite Digimon is Anjuwumon because of the card game, and my favorite Yokai is a toss-up between Frostina and Hikari Ochimaru, depending on the day.
Very respectable. The first thing I was gonna ask, like, how much of a Digimon fan are you to prove your credibility? But
I've played the card game. I've played Cyber Sleuth. I watched the original Digimon series when I was a kid, the reruns on Kids WB. I have the Digimon Fusion Digivice because I watched that on Nicktoons back in the day, and that was like my favorite series for a while. I have the original Appmon Digivice as well, along with the little like wristband that holds two of the apps. And I play the card game, or I have a very casual. I have the Angelwomon starter deck that I slightly upgraded.
I can tell you're a fan by your ability to buy merchandise.
Yep, that's me.
I jest.
Listen.
My only experience besides this week watching Appmon during COVID, I think I door dashed Cyber Sleuth to my house and I played it for like 6 hours and I didn't really like it. So, and you're the one who did you suggest the video to me? You at least brought Appmon to my attention, but I don't remember if you told me I should make a video.
I remember making a joke about how Gachmon was just Jibanyan in the Discord. And you were like, oh my god. And then I started pointing out things where I was like, yeah, and this, and this, and this.
Oh my god, and I didn't realize the tails would be like
Yep.
Like Avatar. I didn't think they were detachable. I didn't think they all had tails. So I guess it's more original than I thought. Maybe slightly.
No, it wasn't.
Slightly?
No, it wasn't.
Because the tail, all the characters have twin tails, so it's not like, you know.
Yeah, it's for the fusion aspect. Is the main thing. I don't know if you've seen the fusion between Gachmon and Navimon yet.
I've seen.
I don't know.
I got to the Dogachamon. I've seen that.
And that's like the whole thing. That's what the tails are for. They're just, you know.
Yeah, when the there was a one point where like Mesamon was like coming out of Gachamon's backside, and it was kind of disturbing. And that was like,
Yep.
So, I thought those were different terms. Maybe I'm just confusing them. I think they're both called.
So,
but one's called like a super Gachamon or a super Appmon or something. I think that's
so. Realized is just Digimon coming to like the real world through the Digivice. On the actual device that I have, it just says Fusion. So it's been a hot minute since I've seen every episode of Appmon. I did watch the first episode last night again to kind of reintegrate myself in the series, mainly because I don't want to watch the series again. And it's nothing to do with that. I think the game for Appmon is so much better, and it's surprisingly not a Yokai Watch ripoff. And I admittedly did watch clips from the other episodes so that I would at least have the knowledge come back. I know I didn't do my homework very well.
That's fine. That's fine. I've been slacking on watching these episodes over a week because they're fun, but they're not like I can't just sit. Well, also part of it is I'd have to be taking notes the whole time, but also like I don't know. I feel like they strike like a weird balance between like original Yokai Watch and like Shadow Side in terms of like tone.
Which is very weird because this came out before Shadow Side.
Like when they were talking about I forget what the name of the virus is.
I don't remember.
But that's literally like the Soranaki virus. That was like the whole plot of Shadow Side. And I was like, oh my! And then I realized, that was like a year. That came out a year later. I think over a year later. So I was like, that had nothing to do with it. But it was kind of weird that it's reminding me so much of like other Yokai Watch stuff it couldn't have even taken inspiration from yet because it didn't exist.
So you'll find that viruses are like a big thing in Digimon, so that may have been something Yokai Watch borrowed from Digimon.
Hmm.
It's possible, or it's just like, hey, two people had the same idea.
Yeah.
The show is just while watching the first episode, you saw my reaction to like the Digivice coming out of the pop machine.
Hmm. Yeah, very technological version of getting Whisper from the Gotcha machine.
Yeah,
And there's so many
yeah.
things that are just like very just a Yokai Watch thing, but with like modern technology added or something. Because what's it like? That's like a time skip. This show takes place in like 2040 something. I think 45.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and technology doesn't seem to have advanced all that much in that time.
Nope. We
Besides,
still
like,
have.
The Digimon themselves are the most like advanced things, and people don't even know they exist. They've probably been there for like the Appmon. They've probably been there forever.
That bugs me so much, but that's more of a like Digimon thing versus no one knows that they're there. But the whole thing with the show was, oh, Yokai Watch is popular and our franchise is dying. What can we take from Yokai Watch? Which Pokemon did a very similar thing, but they were like, no, the vibes are what we need to take versus everything.
I will say, like, the designs are like weird for little creatures that are supposed to be representative of apps. I don't really see how Gachamon is a search engine at all.
Is the magnifying glass.
It's just the magnifying glass, that's it. I will say Navimon is like one of my favorite designs. I love like the ninja aesthetics and like the whole thing, like his arms being the destination pins and stuff, and him using them in attacks. I think that was like one of the standout designs for an Appmon, where like everything came together.
I think my favorite Appmon design is either Onmon or Scopemon. So I would say probably Gachmon's design is inspired by Nekomata in general, and so probably the color scheme of Jibanyan then being put on top of that. I will say his personality is a lot different because with Digimon, they're a lot more agreeable than most yokai are. And then obviously the watch that holds the apps is a square watch that you put square devices in, which on one hand is like, oh, whatever, it's supposed to be a smartwatch. On the other, it's like, it smells funny, you know?
There was a watch?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Was I not paying enough
there's
attention? Or is that
There's
later?
at least a watch toy. I don't know when it comes in the series, so it could be after the first 5 episodes. But there is a watch toy where you put the apps into. And it doesn't like make sounds or anything, so that's why I'm like, it smells funny, but it's fine because it's just supposed to be a smartwatch. But it looks like an Apple Watch, and you put the square, I'm just gonna call them metals, square metals into it to store
they're
them.
Appmon chips, mind you.
Appmon chips.
Appmon.
Yep. And there's also, I don't think it's a book, but it's a tablet that you can also put stuff into. And it's just like, okay, you know, if you're gonna steal from the series, at least make it slightly more original. And I guess they sort of did because it's technology and not spirits. But at the same time, I feel like they took the wrong lesson from Yokai Watch. Where instead of going, okay, people want a more laid-back Monster Hunter or Monster Collector series, they went, oh, they're really into, you know, getting things to put into things to do this and that. And it didn't quite work out. Because, like, the big thing about Digimon is that they are not Pokemon or other monster collectors, like in Shin Megami Tensei: The Spirits, they are slightly more like yokai, where they can just be like, hey, you know what? Screw you. You're being a bad friend. And buzz off. They were, in a way, the big thing of you are actually my friend and our bond is our strength. There's a reason why it was so terrifying to see Agumon digivolve into Skull Greymon when Tai forced him to digivolve using anger and stuff, because that was a bond that was kind of starting to get broken before they talked to each other. I don't think there's an equivalent in Yokai Watch, really. Appmon was this weird thing where they were trying to do what Yokai Watch did. And towards the end of the series, they were like, you know what, we're Digimon. Even though we have to have the aesthetics because we started with them, we're gonna be Digimon. And I feel like, despite the fact that we could jokingly call it a Yokai Watch ripoff all we want, it put in the heart that I expect from the series. And I would still generally recommend it to people, with the caveat being, be prepared for some Yokai Watch stuff to show up in the sense of, like, story and themes. Okay, I do have to go. I'm so sorry for derailing literally everything.
It's okay. It's fine. This will be a good conversation to use elsewhere.
If you have literally any other questions, ask.
You pretty much answered all of them. But before you go, is there anything specific you would like to plug to the audience?
I mean, I already plugged my YouTube and my Twitch. The other thing I would plug is go play Persona. And also, I know he doesn't know me. John Frederick, he does a cool series about Persona. And he'll never know that I said that.
I've never thought to plug other people during a question like that, but you know what? Sure.
I'm sure
I'll allow it.
The 2 subscriber YouTube channel plugging the over 10K subscriber YouTube channel will do literally anything.
Okay, well, thanks. Sorry.
Of course.
Were you going to say something else?
I wanted to thank you for letting me being here, so.
Thank you for agreeing to this. This was a nice little diversion to add to the video. And it was nice talking to you. Nice synthesizing with someone who knows what the hell they're talking about. Well, mostly.
Sort of. Also, Digimon fans, don't get mad at Fubuki. It is my fault if he doesn't know anything.
Thanks so much to Echo Lily for talking with me for a bit and filling in some of the gaps when it came to Digimon. Links to all her socials will be in the description. Overall, Appmon seems to be a fun show that may have taken quite a bit from the Yokai Watch series, but is still entertaining in its own right. Even if you're not a fan of Digimon in particular, I would definitely recommend it to help scratch that story-driven Yokai Watch itch you may have. With that being said, what do you think of Digimon Appmon? Would you consider giving it a shot? Make sure to let me know in the comments, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye, my lonely watchers.